It's Texas football talk
from those who wore the burnt orange.
Welcome to Longhorn Lowdown. Now here's Todd Hunt, Stevie Lee, and Stu Myrick.
Welcome to Longhorn Lowdown for another week. Stu Myrick here along with Todd Hunt. We don't know where Stevie Lee is. We think maybe he's already sold like half of Austin. Maybe he's got a big house deal. But at least I got Todd Hunt.
That's right.
Todd? We got the older era. You know,
that's
Stevie,
right.
Stevie represents the younger era. We got the old guys. So, and joining us in the virtual lounge this week, he is one half of a tandem of brothers that you just used to terrorize the Southwest Conference back in the day. The pride of San Antonio Holmes High School, played during those late 80s that shocked the nation tour in 1990, 6 years in the NFL. Keith Cash, what's up, Keith? How you doing, man?
What's happening? I'm looking at my Zoom picture, and I was like, dang, is that Stevie Lee? But that ain't not. Hopefully, I look a little more slender than that.
Well, everybody talks about how much gray. Everybody talks about how much gray Stevie has in his beard. And I'm thinking it's only so he can look as old as the rest of us. He's trying to mature.
You get that gray so you could say whatever the heck you want.
Exactly.
Right?
And they say as you get older, you could say what you want. So I grew this gray out so I could just walk around saying crazy stuff.
But you said crazy stuff beforehand, so that was nothing new for you. You've been saying crazies back in college.
Not to mention the fact you shave that beard, and you might as well be back on the 40 acres. You look that young.
Oh, you were too kind.
So, well, it's good.
I don't feel that young. I can tell you that.
I can imagine. Let's talk for a bit about San Antonio. Growing up at Holmes High School. First of all, I've got to ask, and we're hoping that Kerry will join us here soon, but I got to ask, what was it like to be twin brothers, football stars at the same high school during the same time? Talk about that experience.
And basketball stars, too, because you guys can hoop.
That's right, basketball as well.
I got people around the corner telling me when they used to play against you guys over there and they try to challenge, you guys just tear them up. My neighbor across the street, remember playing with you guys. He's like, they just tear it up. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah. So
man, we were some pretty good little athletes growing up. You know, the nice thing about being a twin is the fact that you have someone to practice with and play with constantly. And because we were so equal talent wise, I was a better athlete, of course. He'll say that he's a better athlete, but let's just say we're even. If he ever outdid me in everything, I try to get him back. So whether it's baseball, basketball, football, we always challenged each other, always competed against each other. Plus, we had an older brother that was 6 years older, and we'd hang out with him quite a bit with his friends. So they would get games going. And if we went home crying because they beat up on us or whatever, my big brother wouldn't take us back out there. So part of our every day, I wasn't going to cry, and I was going to try to keep up with those older kids. And after a while, we were better than the older kids too.
That's not surprising.
It's, some of it's genetics and a lot of it's just outside playing, getting better at whatever the heck we were doing.
Okay, I see that.
So what made you guys so competitive, though, at an early age? Besides that whole, I'm not going to cry, I want to play kind of thing. What that mental toughness? Because you both, I'm telling you, that's the one thing I really realized when I first got to 40 Acres, when I first met each one of you individually. You guys have a mental toughness. It's got a look about you, just like, you know what? Don't fuck with me, right? So, where did you? I know that you know it too. So, how did you guys get to that point, man?
You know what? It's one of those things where I think playing against kids that are older than you, playing up in competition, we're talking about since 7, 8 years old, we were chasing my older brother who was middle school, 7th, 8th grade. Hey, there's my baby brother.
Yeah, there you
What's
go.
Love Witch.
What's
About
up?
time.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
my
Witch,
baby brother
let's
showed
welcome
up.
Kerry Cash into the virtual lounge.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sir.
Yeah, so
How y'all doing?
we just
Good.
competed at a level that, you know, second graders, third graders don't. So when we played against our own age, it really was don't mess with me. You know, we made sure that, you know, call it intimidation, call it what you want. We were better than the kids that we played with because we played against people that were better than us, which was my bigger brother. And after a while, he wasn't better than us either. So we were talking trash to him.
All right.
So
I can see that happen to both of you guys. You on one side, he on the other. Just shut up.
that's it. That's it.
Now, Kerry, how you know, there was you and Keith. How many brothers and sisters were there in the household?
An older brother and an older sister.
Okay,
Oh, you
So
guys are
4
bonus.
was total.
so 4 total.
Yeah, we were the
Two-
babies, and
two
my
older.
sister was probably the toughest one. So she taught us toughness at an early age.
Okay.
Well, I heard Keith said earlier that he was a better athlete than you before you got on.
Depends on who you ask. You ask me. You know, we would go back and forth,
That's what I told him.
know, but I was usually, you know,
Yeah,
on the top end of that.
I was going to say this feels like some of those gatherings I have with other radio guys. It, you know, I ask a question. Well, it depends on who you talk to. I
Right.
get-
Well, Kerry, what I told them was it depended on the day. It really did. It's just like our golf game this weekend.
Yeah.
Kerry came down. We played 4 rounds of golf, and he probably beat me twice, and I beat him twice, or maybe he beat me 3 times. I don't know, but I beat him the last time. So
that does
I got
surprise me.
the cash golf belt.
There you go.
I want to
You
see
got
that.
it for now.
I want to see that belt one of these days. I'm a big belt guy. I want to see that belt. Now how far are you two separated, Kerry? How far are you separated? I know there is, you know,
4 minutes.
you're twins, but how about by how much?
4.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay. All right.
4
So
minutes.
So
He beat me out.
is Keith by 4 minutes or Kerry by 4 minutes?
No, he beat me out on this one.
Okay.
okay.
All right.
So he was
Yeah.
faster
That's
than
why I
I'm the
call him my
baby.
baby. That's why I call him my baby,
My baby brother.
all right.
That's right.
So Kerry's the baby. All right. We get
That's
that.
it.
So in high school, guys, you guys I'm sure you had a lot of time to mess with the women, but I have a question for you. Was there a time where you guys, you know, were dating, you know, a couple of girls and did the switcheroo they say what twins do?
Twin magic. Did you do twin magic?
Hey, there's no listen. It's old, so you can come out with it now.
No,
It's okay.
no, we did.
No.
We did switch girlfriends.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
I think
Okay.
a couple hours, you know.
You know, we switched classes and stuff like that. We changed classes, played some tricks here and there.
Of course.
All right.
That's taking it too far. Switching off on our girlfriends.
Okay. So how was recruiting? How did they get with recruiting, guys? I mean, did you know, because back in the day, it's not like today where you got, you know, all the different outlets online, recruiters calling you, want to pay for you to do this and that and this. I mean, back in the day, coaches came and saw you practice, and then of course you get recruited. So recruiting both of you at the same time, that was like a special situation, right?
Absolutely. I think it was, you know, I really wasn't thinking about anything else other than, you know, from a sporting standpoint, I played what was in season. That's the difference between now and back in the day. There wasn't any specialty. I mean, I didn't specialize in football. I played everything. Whatever sport was in season, that's what I was playing. And, you know, from that, you get some basketball coaches, you get some track coaches, you get some, Kerry played baseball, so he had some baseball coaches around, and football. And we had a really good team in football. So we had Johnny Walker on the team and Mike McKenzie, a cat that went to Baylor. We had a running back that went to Texas Tech. So you might come to see one guy and someone else might pop off the film. So, you know, me and Kerry were a package deal. So we weren't looking at anybody that wasn't looking at both of us. So luckily for us, everyone that wanted him wanted me as well. So they were going to get two of us.
Who did you got? I know you ended up with Texas, but who else did the final five you guys picked? What were the teams? Like, was it out of state stuff or just in states only?
No, we did some out of state stuff too.
I would say,
Go ahead, Kerry.
yeah, Purdue. World was A&M. We did go visit the Aggies. And then after that, after we came to Texas, this was where we were going to be.
Wow.
We were going to Purdue and got on the plane, and that was when they used to walk you back to your gate. And, you know, we're getting on the plane, and I turn around, and I see my mom just crying. I knew I wasn't going to go too far.
Right.
So this was just a great fit.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Well, and I remember, you know, back in the late 80s, you know, San Antonio was a hotbed for high school football. You had Judson, they were doing their thing. You had a lot of the schools there in San Antonio. So I got to imagine, you know, recruiters were going to see a lot of good, solid football players out of the San Antonio era. What was the feedback that you got? Start with you, Keith. What was the feedback that you would get from the recruiters as far as, you know, what they were seeing from you?
Well, they saw an athletic, fast jumper that they can get the ball to in a lot of different ways, is how I was described. I had a couple of coaches that said, you know, kind of, I love you. You have to come to my school. Matter of fact, Coach James said, man, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with your skill set. So, you know, if we can get both, I mean, it was from I think our junior year. Kerry was the probably better football player. I had some guys in front of me when I was going through high school, so I really didn't start till my senior year. I played quite a bit, but I didn't start. I probably excelled more in basketball and in track. But Kerry was the football star. He got all the catches and all that, and then I kind of came on the scene my senior year. But the nice thing is, Kerry said early on, I ain't going nowhere without my brother. So if you're not taking both of us, you won't have one of us. Okay. So, you know, Notre Dame was another team that we were looking at,
right?
But showed more interest in Kerry. And then, you know, West Coast teams they were up there as well. But like Kerry said, man, we went to get on a plane to go to Purdue just only because Fred Akers was there. If you remember, he had just gotten fired from Texas, and we had promised that we'd go up there. Yep. Well, not only did we see our mom crying, but we also saw a foot, 18 inches of snow on the ground when we got there. So that wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen.
That seems to be a common theme, especially with guys in that era where, you know, the four of us were on campus. That seems to be a theme. It was, you know, I saw all that snow on the ground, and that discouraged me from going to Purdue or Notre Dame or Illinois or wherever. That cemented the fact I was going to go to Texas. Now, Kerry, how many coaches told you they loved you?
Man, I used to get it just like Keith.
Yeah.
You know, coaches would tell you they love you. They tell you anything.
So you guys in 87, you guys hit campus, right? You got recruited, and by Coach David McWilliams, you came in. So what was life like when you guys got here in 87? That was the year before I got here. You know, how did stepping on 40 acres affect you guys? I mean, I know you guys were big cheese on campus, but what did you guys think when you first came, first day?
I was scared. Being away from home for the first time, not having the comforts of my mom around, you know?
Wow.
But we were, man, it was a fish out of water for me.
But you guys had you were there together. That's like comfort zone, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I had familiar faces around, that's for sure.
Yeah, we had Samuels there, and we knew him from playing in San Antonio, and
Deion Cockrell.
Deion Cockrell,
Dion. Yep.
Johnny Walker, another one of our teammates. So we were kind of the San Antonio Five, if you will, whatever they called us when we came in.
Okay.
And I came in not necessarily scared, but you do come in as a freshman saying, dang, that's Eric Metcalf. You've heard about him. He was the star of the team. There's Hackamack over there, big old boy.
Yep.
I mean, you name it, you just look at the size, and I'm coming in, I was 185, 190 pound,
Wow.
6'4" wide receiver. But I could tell you this, we went out and competed. I didn't care who they were putting in front of me.
About that.
Yeah. You guys are extremely competitive. From the first time I saw you guys, I was like, I don't want to go against them, and I never had to because I was on interior line. But there's no way in hell. If I had the skill set,
with you.
I want nothing to do with y'all. I don't care. Basketball court, dominoes, checkers. I don't want none of y'all.
That's fun. Now, were you both recruited as wide receivers? Because I know, Kerry, you transitioned somewhat into tight end.
I transitioned quickly.
Do what?
I wanted to do anything to get on the field.
Okay.
I transitioned quickly. I got here as a wide receiver. They had a need down there in the slot. It kept going down. So it was an H-back type of role. It turned into a tight end role. What weight on?
Okay.
Because you guys gained like 40, 50 pounds in that first couple of years, right? Of
Kerry
mass
did.
muscle, right?
Yeah, we'll call it muscle.
No, I got up to about 225 by the time I was a senior.
Kerry was a monster.
I know he was. That's what I'm saying. I remember that.
Kerry was a monster. I was just, I stayed out wide. I couldn't put on all that weight, so you very rarely saw me in the weight room, to be quite honest. I tried to get out of lifting weights when I can. I'd go run track, go jump, go do anything not to be in the weight room. But, I could hold my own in there, my junior, senior year. And still kept the flexibility and all the jumping skills and everything else I had coming into college.
So when did you guys? What was one of the favorite times that you guys had living in the dorms and on campus? I know that you guys have a favorite place, favorite time period where you guys, time of day, you and the sheriff, you guys go do this, or Cockrell and you and Chris on Friday, you go do such and such. Besides, I'm no game night. You can't do anything, but
it was the domino game.
Yeah, you guys were loud all the time. I hear you guys on the fifth floor, or the side of the fifth floor.
Game.
Okay, who was the better dominoes player?
Yeah,
I never played dominoes, so Kerry was definitely the better.
Okay.
Yeah, I was too busy chasing skirts. Kerry was playing dominoes.
But see, Kerry, he was down with Sheriff, Bubba. The twins, right? Other twins.
Keith and Kevin
Smith. And then, of course, Willie Matt Garza was down there.
Yep.
Summertime. Who else is in that corner down there? There's like 4 or 5 of the guys that always come down there. Of course, Chris came in here and there, but you guys always had a good time down there. Always.
Yeah, that floor was we had a lot of fun.
It was legendary.
And Kerry, do you still play dominoes?
Just on my phone.
Just on your phone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All my time is spent running after my kids.
Well, there you
Oh
go.
yeah, I'm gonna talk about your oldest. He played HBU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him play, man. He's talented, dude. He was talented.
All right.
He's made some plays this year, that's for sure. He just got a little taste because they only played the out-of-season games. Their conference schedule has been canceled.
Right.
Yeah.
So they just played the money games this year. So, yeah, he got a taste of what big boy football was, playing against Texas Tech. He had 10 tackles and an interception in that game.
Yep, I saw that.
And he's been constantly getting play time and getting better and better.
Do you think he's going to try to go to another D1 school instead of stay at HBU?
No, he may. I think he will. He's just going down there to get his feet wet. Nope, nobody really recruited
They
him.
will now.
Yeah, but he's getting some time now. He's getting some valuable time.
That was pretty cool to see, by the way, man. I was like, I play with his dad.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who the hell I am. I'm on my couch and yelling, "Hey, I play with his dad." Nobody knows. Who are you? Who are you?
Doesn't that just age you when you see all these kids whose father
know.
played with you?
Yep.
It
Jaquez.
just ages the heck out of you.
Oh yeah, Jaquez, his kid. He's a linebacker now.
Right.
Britt Hager's sons, right?
Yep.
I mean, I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I was like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
Britt's sons are in the NFL now, or at least a couple of them. So
That's right.
Um, so what was that Austin place that you like to go to when you were on campus and you needed to get away from the dorm or whatever, and just even for a brief like an hour or so? What's that spot in Austin that you got that both of you just you had to make it part of your routine?
Oh
Uh,
man, I used to go to Players.
players. I knew he was gonna say that. Yeah.
I was about to say that. There's another place in West Campus.
Okay.
I can't even think of the name of that bar that let.
Oh, 24th Street Bar. Yes.
No, what was it? Abel's?
No.
Was there a place?
Yeah.
called
Abel's.
Abel's.
Kay and Abel's. Yeah.
Yeah. So go over there and have, and 6th Street always was a
Right.
place that I visited from time to time. But around campus with the fellas, I mean, the student union, spent some time there, quite a bit of time there actually. Just enjoying the college life. It was very fun place to go to college.
Well, good. So would you change it? If you could go back, what would you change about it?
I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing.
That's pretty awesome. So when did you guys
Oh,
know?
I take that back. I would change one thing. I probably would have not met my ex-wife.
Hey, I can second that one.
Now, ex-wives can change something.
That's
Yes.
right.
I get you.
That's a good one. I love that one. So when did you guys know? Was your sophomore year? When did you guys know, hey, we're going to go to the next level? Or did you just know from the time you stepped on campus that was your goal?
I never thought about, man, I dreamed about this from an earlier age than that. I used to dream about playing professional football.
Okay.
Not coming to the University of Texas, but I knew I wanted to play professionally at an early age. And other than that, man, it was just, we competed on a daily basis.
Right. And Keith,
And
you were saying you didn't think about it, right?
You know what? Here's why I didn't think about it, because I didn't come in as a freshman starting, didn't get a whole lot of playing time, probably should have redshirted. I had certain packages where you'd throw it up in the end zone and I'd go get it. It wasn't until my senior year, I knew that I could play. I knew that from a talent-wise, to be quite honest with you, I was probably better than a lot of the receivers that were playing ahead of me and on the other side and everywhere else. So I knew that I could play if given the opportunities. But it was my senior year where I came into that season. This is my first year starting. I mean, I had some spot starts here and there, but I came in pissed off, to be quite honest with you. And I was going to make some noise. And I had to make my name in 1 year if I was going to follow my brother to the NFL, because I knew he was going to make it. It was evident his junior year that he was good enough to play in the pro game, because we saw people that we played against make it, and he was tearing them up. I mean, they couldn't cover him. He was blocking them. I knew that he'd go the next level. My story's a little bit different just because I didn't get a chance to play. Yeah. And once I got a chance to play, it was, I got to make my name, and they're going to remember who I am. I can tell you that at the beginning of every game, they will say my name when it's over. Yeah. That was my attitude. That's what I was trying to do.
And they did. I mean, and it worked out. Keith, Kerry, you went in the 5th round to the Colts. Kerry went 5th round to the Colts. Keith went 7th round to the Steelers. So both AFC guys. How much did your view of the wide receiver position change going from the 40 acres to the NFL?
Well, they quickly moved me to tight end when I got to the NFL. I ate my way into the tight end position.
Was that by design, man? Or he was like, I'm in. I'm going to just eat.
So that was a challenge in itself. I wasn't the one thing I did keep was my receiving skills. And when I got to the tight end position, I was like a receiver H-back. And a lot of times it was a match. I was a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. But again, you have veterans on teams and maybe you think you should be playing, but maybe you don't get the chance. And again, once I got the chance to play in the NFL on the Chiefs, when I finally went to the Chiefs, mismatch nightmare. And the problem was that we ran the ball quite a bit, so it didn't really utilize all my receiving skills. But I could hold my own, put my hand in the ground.
Now, Kerry, did you give him any advice about playing tight end?
I didn't.
Okay.
He didn't need any advice. He was always kind of a fat wide receiver anyway. So he had the blocking part down pretty well. As far as the receiving skills, anytime you take somebody who could catch the ball in open space with their hands and add some size to him, he was always a really athletic tight end. Definitely a mismatch.
Yeah. Who were you guys most impressed with when you guys got to the league? You know, what was the biggest thing that you realized was different than college?
Well, my first NFL play, I was lined up against Reggie White was on the other side of me.
Woo!
So talking about an introduction, I might have TP'd down my leg a little bit, but once the ball was snapped, I'm glad they audibled the ball the other way.
Good.
I'll just say that because I would have been really introduced. But after that first hit, it was just playing football at that point.
Okay. Was the speed much faster for you guys than college?
It was faster. I think the main thing that I took away from it was the sheer size of the guys that you were going up against. You had defensive ends that were, 290 pounds, ripped up, 6'5", 6'7", just some big boys that you had to grapple with. And, as far as the speed, there were guys that were fast. Linebackers ran like defensive backs. Defensive backs ran like Carl Lewis. It's kind of the way it was. Guys were fast, big, fast. But we fit it in very well. I could hold my own against all of them.
Who was y'all's favorite coaches you ever played with? Again, under.
My only coach was I had Chuck Nolas last year, and he probably stayed a year too late because he was the assistants kind of took over that team for him. So mine was Marty Schottenheimer. I played under Marty, and the one thing he was fair. If I wasn't playing, if I wasn't getting on the field, I knew exactly why, because he'd tell you.
Wow.
And that's all you wanted was fairness and a chance. If someone's fair with you, then it's on you to make it happen. And he told me what I need to work on from year to year. And, when the opportunity came up, someone got hurt, I never saw my way back out of the lineup.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Jerry, what about you? Played for the Colts, Raiders, and the Bears. Your favorite coach that you played for?
Ted Marchibroda.
Okay.
And for a lot of the same reasons. He never looked at my age. He just looked at the football player and how he could help his team. So I got on the field pretty early until I broke my ankle. So that was in game 4.
Yeah.
But it was a good learning process. He was always fair and always coached me up. He wasn't afraid to hold back on what he was saying. But yeah, that was the one.
Okay.
So each you guys played 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So when did you guys know, okay, this is it?
Yeah.
All right, I've been here long enough. I'm done with this thing. Or was it something that says, you know what, you got to go? Sorry.
So mine was, I got in the last 2 years, I fought the injury bug. I tore my hamstring off the bone my 5th year in the league. 4th game of the year, I remember thinking, dang, I thought I could come back from it. I mean, we pushed to come back that year, and I ended up playing late in the year. But the hamstring never loosened back up the way I needed to use my skill set as a receiver. So lost a step, got to that last year, kind of fought the injuries again. And after that, got healthy and looked at some other opportunities, but nothing ever materialized. So I ended up, that 6 year, after that 6 years saying, okay, what's next?
Okay.
What about you, Kerry?
What about you?
Mine was a little bit different. I got to the point where I left when you have to prove yourself over and over again, where sometimes it's just best to stay where they loved you. But once I started leaving and going from team to team, I tried, had a couple tryouts, but just didn't work out that 7th year. So when it was time to give it up, it's time to give it up.
Yeah. Hey,
So I know. Go ahead.
Tell me, because you played, when you were with the Chiefs, you played with Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Just boggles my mind. But yes, that was toward the latter part of his career when he had left the Niners, went to the Chiefs. And just tell me what it was like working on the same side of the ball with Joe Montana.
I think the one thing I took from him is the fact of how prepared he was. Every situation, he stayed cool. He had been there. He had done that. The arm strength wasn't there, but his anticipation and his study habits and his approach to the game is something I learned a lot from. I played with him for 2 years, and I had a lot of success under him because he would, oftentimes you don't go to sleep when Joe's on the field because he might just throw it to you. Right. You had to be open. You had to be ready for it. You talk about no-look passes and left-handed throws that Patrick Mahomes does now. I saw it. I saw it before. That wasn't the first time I saw it because Montana did a lot of that stuff. He was just a crafty old man at that point, but he can beat you with his mind.
Okay. All right.
That's pretty cool. You guys play with some legends, and that's pretty cool to know that I played with guys like you, even though I wasn't any close to your talent level, but I played with guys like you, and then you go on to the next level. It's just pretty cool to sit back and chat with you guys. And so, one thing we haven't discussed just yet, guys, Shock the Nation tour, right?
You got to talk about that.
Because that was the year that you guys, I want to say you, Chris, Hack, BJ, Stanley Thomas, of course. All you guys let us. There was y'all's leadership that year. Okay, so I want you to just think a couple things. Just go back to that time period, guys. Right? We win our first game up at Penn State, right? And then we go into the first 2 or 3 games we win, then we lose to Colorado at home. Am I correct?
Yep, that's correct.
I want to know, what I really want you to tell me is this. In your brains, when you guys went off on us, because you all did, and in that locker room about the next, what was going through y'all's mind about, okay, listen, we ain't having that shit no more, right? I remember the whole conversation, but I want to hear from your perspective. Either both of y'all, which one do you want to start? I want to hear it.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, but the one thing I remember going into this our senior year, 1990, we wanted to go out on top. I think we went to the Bluebonnet Bowl the first year, our freshman year. Then we didn't make bowl games our sophomore and junior year.
Correct.
And that was enough right there to say, okay, the seniors got together, talked about it. What is the mark that you want to leave on this school? Do you want to go out as a three times in a row losing record, or do you want to go out doing something? We knew we had the skill set. We knew we had the skill positions. It was just a matter of everyone focusing at the same time. And I think the Penn State game led it off. We go on the road, Happy Valley, knock them off. We win a couple games. Then we play against Colorado at home, and Colorado is a team that we should have beat.
Yep.
team we should have beat, and we let them off the hook. And I think what my mindset was, that ain't happening anymore. We got to play every game like it's our last game. If we're going to get where we want to go, we got to play every game as if it's our last game. Every game as if your life depended on it. So I dedicated myself to my teammates. You know, the practices were a lot more spirited after that, because I think we took for granted how good we were. We knew we were a good team because we started off 3-0 or 4-0 or whatever it was. And then we played against a team that was, I don't know what they were ranked in, but they were top 5 team.
Yep.
And we should have beat their ass, and we didn't. We let them off the hook.
Yep.
So from there, I was like, man, we're a better team than we think we are. We had them on the ropes, and we let them off the ropes. And, you know, after that, we just went on a run and tried to destroy everybody we played.
We did destroy several of them.
That's true.
We did.
Kerry,
No doubt about that.
This
I remember the workouts. I remember leading up to that season, the preparation and how hard we used to go. We were going in the off season, getting up at 6 a.m, getting out there, getting it done.
Okay, nightmares.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. But no, I loved
that
it.
Molded us
Yep.
into the team we were, though.
Hey, hands down, yes, I agree 110%. You know,
Big part.
running the stadiums has killed me. But I
Yep.
appreciate it after the fact.
Oh man.
But
So-
you know, I was in pretty good shape that
Yeah.
summer before, because I slept with Oscar Giles. He and I were roommates over the summer. So Big O got me in good shape. So
You say a little too much, you slept with Oscar.
Well, that
I know. I'm sorry.
that 1990 season was my freshman year. I had just come off active duty in the Army. I go to University of Texas. The first season of live Longhorn football that I saw were the three of you just tearing up the Southwest Conference. Now, I'm going to ask you, because we are on the week of Texas OU. That's coming up this Saturday. 30 years ago, you're getting ready for that week. And that was a vital week. Oklahoma was ranked number 4 at the time.
Beat them.
And you beat. But talk about leading up to that week, knowing what momentum you had going into that game, and now you reflect back what momentum you had coming out of that game. Just talk for a second about that experience, about Texas OU, your senior year, that fall of 1990.
Well, I knew we were going to bust their ass. I did know that. I think everybody in our locker room knew that we were gonna do some great things. We didn't think they were as good as us, and we just had to go out there and get physical and show them. But there was no doubt at any time going into that game that we weren't going to win it. I'm sure the people in their locker room thought the same thing, but my favorite moment is in the game. People ask me, and it wasn't the one-handed catch for the touchdown. You know, it was Keith going and doing his thing, that last touchdown. When that time ran off that clock, I just remember the just joy that I felt. But it was one step. I mean, that wasn't it for us. We weren't thinking about that was the end of our season. That propelled us into, you know, just the belief, regardless of the situation, that we were going to come through and win.
Yeah, and Keith, you had that vital touchdown that put you guys ahead for good. Talk about what that day was like.
You know what? For me, he talks about my catch being the favorite. Mine was Kerry's catch, the one-handed catch, which was, I remember a pitcher, and I don't know who the defensive back was. Franks, I think, was his last name. But I remember, you know how your I would say your little brother. I don't have a little brother, but I look at my two boys now. One of them's 13, one of them's 11. And if I throw a ball up to the 13-year-old and he catches it on the 11-year-old, the 11-year-old kind of shrinks because he just got mossed, right? So Kerry mossed this dude before you can get mossed, right? He caught it with one hand And I remember that dude looking so small, looking at my brother, and I'm running across the field, and I see, and it was, there's a picture that was in the Austin American-Statesman, if you can find it, that was just, he's in the end zone with his hands up in the air, and this guy looks so small. So that's what I remember from that game. But like Kerry said, you know, going into Oklahoma, there was 2 games that we were going to win if we didn't win any other games. That was against Oklahoma and A&M. Period. There was no discussion about it.
That's right.
So regardless of how that game was going, regardless of the offense sputtering a little bit and the defense keeping us in, I knew we were going to win that game because we weren't. That's what we trained for, to take care of teams like that. And I remember when Butch started getting the ball, and we started rolling, and we started, you know, people bouncing off of them, and they start fighting. Their defense starts fighting. I'm like, okay, we got them. We done worn them down now.
Yeah.
Now we're about to go down here and do something. So, you know, those are 2 games that I knew we weren't going to lose. Obviously, the rest of them, I didn't have loss on my mind going into any game. Regardless
even Houston?
Houston, we're going to get them too.
Nobody. We owed them.
Nobody.
Something.
We owed them.
Yeah.
We owed them.
We owed them.
Oh, we owned them, all right. We owed them and owned them. So it was awesome.
Yeah, we owned and owned them.
Yep.
We owned them and we owed them one.
I bet David Klinger still has that price tag on his. How many times has he landed on that DKR turf? This was before he was even named DKR, but every time he landed on that turf there at Texas Memorial Stadium, man, I mean, he spent more time on the turf than he did in the pocket. It was crazy.
Yeah, he did. I remember talking to Andre Ware after that game a couple of years later, and I was telling him how we beat their tail. And he said, Keith, I wasn't even on that team. I was like, I don't care. You felt it. You felt it, though. You felt that whooping, though, didn't you?
That's the Keith I remember right there. I like that.
That's it.
You felt it, didn't you?
Yeah, you felt it.
It was such a special season. I mean,
yes, it was.
Again, what a way to introduce me to Longhorn football. My first year on campus, and it was so good. You run the table in the conference, you know, beating up Houston like you did that night, and who was
out of here on the phone?
And was it Wally Pryor that kept screaming for everybody to get off the field because everybody was running on the field?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right.
So, man, that was amazing.
So, guys, you know, the last game we played getting in the Cotton Bowl, right? I mean, it was
you know, talk about nightmares. Come on.
That was kind of crazy for me as well. But I felt kind of bad for you guys being seniors, and it's the last game, and I was upset, very upset about it.
Yeah, so, going into that game, I thought we were going to kick their ass too.
Yep.
Didn't happen. Once Chris got knocked out on the opening kick after the dude said they were going to knock him out, I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's set the stage.
Set the tone. We just couldn't get any footing. But you know what? I wouldn't change a thing about that year. I went to battle with the guys that I went to battle with. I'd put them up against anybody. That was the time of my life. I didn't have any more fun in the pros than I had right there playing with my brother and, you know, the guys that we kind of grew up together. You get to the pros and you have old men out there playing with young guys. You know, in the college game, you kind of grow up together, which is pretty cool. And I wouldn't change it a minute of it.
Amazing.
All right. So you're 6 years out, you got the pros, you guys, you know, I got to do something. So when you guys stepped off the field for good, what was the first thing, Kerry? You go first. What was the first thing you said I got to go do? And what did you do?
Go to sleep.
Sleep's always good.
When I retired. I took time off, man. I did whatever I wanted to do. I spent a lot of time out at the lake. Man, times were good. Played a lot of golf. I thought I was going to be a golf pro, but, you know, I couldn't hit the 6-foot putts.
You got to be able to putt, man.
Yeah, it was.
Get you every time.
Yeah, you got to be able to putt. That's right. That's right.
So what are you doing these days, man?
When I was done, I was done. I'm selling gold.
Okay,
I
nice.
work at the U.S. Gold Bureau, and I sell gold, silver, platinum, bars and coins, not jewelry.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been good.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So Keith, what happened to you when you got out? Finally, I'm done.
Kind of like my brother, man. I tell you, that first year, 2 years, we were on the golf courses around Austin, getting after it. I mean, we were
36 holes a day.
Yeah, I mean, daily battles. I remember, God, what was that course? Tomahawk? Was that the course?
I think there's a Tomahawk. Black Hawk.
Yep. We played a lot of Black Hawk. We played just courses, in the Pflugerville area.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kerry said, we went at it. So that was my competition. Then, when it came down to work, I got into banking not long after I retired. Matter of fact, I came back and went to school. I had another year left. So I did that while I was golfing, still working out. Then after that, shortly after, I got into banking and still in, financial services today.
Okay, now hold it. Let me get this. So, Kerry, you're selling gold and coins and bars, and Keith, you're a banker. Again, where is this? It seems like just custom fit for both of you guys, right?
I didn't choose
definitely
banking.
got the
Banking
name for
chose
it.
me.
Okay.
With a name like Cash, you had to do something in financial services.
I was going to say, both of you handling financial instruments and such. I guess it fits with both of you named Cash, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
That's
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, and I talked to Jermichael Finley a couple weeks ago. One of the things it always baffles me. You look at today's NFL, and teams seem to always have a problem getting tight ends, recruiting or drafting tight ends, developing good tight ends. Both of you played that position. What is it about the tight end position that NFL teams today seem to be missing? And Keith, I'll start with you.
I think if you look at the best tight ends in the league, you have Kelsey, you have Kittle, you have I don't know who else is out there, but there's a handful of them out there that are pretty doggone good, and the majority of them are big guys that can run. They're big. They're more receiver types than anything else, right? So a lot of the big guys, the big tight ends coming out, they don't have that receiving skill set. And the game is changing. I mean, if you don't have a tight end, is hard to cover because they're usually too big for safeties and too fast for linebackers. It's just a mismatch nightmare, and it's hard to find just because there's not too many people every year that have that skill set, that receiving skill set. There's a lot of big guys that have the size, but they're always missing something. Either they can't block, there's something to it. And a lot of it is, as a tight end, you have to catch the ball in tight spaces. You have to make contested catches, and you're going to get hit, and you are operating over the ball, and where linebackers are roaming. And I think that's the difference. A lot of these, the better tight ends can take a shot. They know they're going to get hit. They're still going to catch the ball. They're going to get up and say, give me more, do it again. Right. The tight ends that can't do that or have trouble with contested catches, maybe they shrink down when they get hit a couple times. You have to get up, beat your chest, go back to the huddle and do it again. And that's takes a different person to do that because it's not the easiest thing to do. Plus, you have to grapple with 290-pound defensive ends, and you have to crack down on defensive tackles, and you got to do the dirty work too. And it takes a different dude to do all that stuff.
And Kerry, I gotta imagine you agree with that. I mean, you guys' era, there were some really good tight ends, and of course, me being a Cowboys fan, of course, first name comes to my mind is Jay Novacek, who was a hell of a tight end for those Super Bowl Cowboys teams back in the early '90s. But Kerry, I gotta imagine your view is very similar.
Very, very similar. I look at Kittles and Kelsey. Those are the two cream of the crop, but there's a couple more around the league that I see that can play some ball. But it does take a different breed to be able to be that versatile. It's probably one of the most versatile positions on the field, in that you have to be physical. You have to lead up sometimes into the hole, so you're playing a little bit of fullback, grappling with defensive ends, but still have the speed to get downfield. And I mean, it's a beating all game long when you're tight end.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's everything that you mentioned. Being able to block and catch, and being physical. A lot of that. I think you're right. I think that is why there are so few really good tight ends. Where you talk about George Kittle or Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski when he's healthy. Guys like that. It is a rare breed, and so. And
one thing they have in common is they're physical.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They get hit. They get up. They deliver more punishment than they get, and they wear defenses down. Hardest position to cover if you have a good one.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, guys, this has been an absolute treat to talk to you guys. It's so, again, it's just so neat that both of you are involved in some sort of financial service with the last name of Cash. I think that is just awesome. But as I said, my freshman year, you guys were the ones that made that first fall semester so special. So I appreciate getting to learn more about that and learn more about you guys. Anytime I'm with you guys in an NFL alumni event or something, it's always a treat. I think it's so cool. Now, just out of curiosity, do either of you do any type of social media?
I don't. I never have. I need to start, just simply because with my business, I need to do more of that. But at the moment, I've been resisting for 20-something years, and I need to take that step to do it.
Mine is purely for radio and such, so I totally get it. Kerry, do you do any social media?
Mine, I do Twitter.
Okay.
I don't really do it. I just try to find out what's going on in my son's life through social media.
That's the only way to do it, man. That's the only way to do it.
You have to be on top of that stuff. See what they're doing, man, because kids talk about everything on social media.
This is very true. This is very true. Well, again, thanks to both the Cash brothers, Keith and Kerry Cash, for joining us this week on Longhorn Lowdown. Make sure you follow us on social media. We'll start with Todd. You can follow him at 94.hunt on Instagram. Stevie Lee, who will be back with us next week, you can find him on Twitter at Stevie J. Lee and at Stevie Lee 65 on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. And make sure you follow everything that Longhorn Lowdown is doing at Longhorn Lowdown on Twitter, Instagram. As I mentioned, we'll be back next week. We've got Fozzie Whitaker coming into the virtual lounge to join us. But until then, have a great rest of your week. Beat the hell out of OU. And until next time, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em. OU still suck.